Hi, it's Aneta here from Aneta Yoga Studio and Wellness. Today is day number 53 of 2018, 22nd of February. And it's Thursday, we come into the end of the week. How are you doing with your practice? Hope your practice is going well. I hope you are able to connect with with your inner wisdom through your practice, however your practice looks. And something that came up for me yesterday, and it's still on my mind today, and that is, I was speaking yesterday with a coach because I am looking at more developing the coaching side of my business, and that's something that, I've done coaching for many years now, and I've always supervised and managed people, and I trained people, and I've been running yoga wellness coaching for the last year and a half, and I really love doing that work because it's much more in depth. It doesn't bring just yoga, it doesn't bring just mindfulness, it brings the the connecting with your inner wisdom through somatic experience, through your body, through mindfulness, through yoga, through mindful movement, through a lot of reflection, and really connecting with what is going on for you, creating in the end you as an expert of your own experience, and how that spreads into your other daily life, your relationships, your work, how you lead your life basically. And so a very interesting thing that came up, and I have been thinking about it for a while in my practice and what I do in my life, is how our values, what are our values, what are my values, and how they, and whether I live in line with my values on my mat in my daily life. And I know that values work is something that I've done a lot in the past through all the trainings that I've done and through the work in social care. And then when I moved into the to running the studio and working full time for myself, it was really important. And really interesting stuff that came up, which is, for me, that's been coming up, that sense of busyness in my life and how busy I can get in my life. And that's something that comes from being conditioned, working in a social care with child protection cases means that you with addiction, with families, you are always on the go. And then in addition to that work, I was teaching evenings and weekends as well. So there is a sense of kind of conditioning of being busy and kind of having lots of stuff to do. And my mind is quite busy. And if I think about this, if I didn't have yoga and mindfulness and mindful focusing and all of those practices, I think I would be a real wreck, really overwhelmed and really highly strung and possibly quite anxious as well, and which I have experienced in the past. So I know how it feels. So I know that those practices are keeping me sane. But there is something fundamental underneath that, something about how sometimes our values are not in alignment with how we live our lives and how we do our daily practice. Which is a really interesting connection and something that's been coming up a lot for me. And maybe maybe it can come up for you as well. That I teach and about balance and being in harmony, and yet I can get so very busy that it feels like it's a bit out of balance. And so there is that kind of incongruency somewhere there, and that's something that really I noticed, and I noticed it because of the daily practice, because I have been doing daily practice, and because I've been taking time to connect and reflect and really gaining that clarity. And when at the beginning of the year I said I wanted clarity and ease, and that's what I wanted to focus on, I am certainly getting a lot of clarity, a lot of understanding, and noticing how often there isn't ease. There isn't, because there is so much busyness for me. And that's a really great learning, just noticing how I create that busyness for myself. That some of it is part of life, because I run my own business and I run the studio and I teach a lot one-to-ones and I teach a lot of classes, and I'm quite active on the on the media, and I do my own website. So there is a lot of stuff that I need to do in practical terms, but also there is a lot of stuff that I create that maybe I don't need to do within that busyness. And sometimes it's the same on my yoga mat, that sometimes I feel like I need to squeeze a little bit more when my energy is high, but actually slowing down creates so much more awareness, so much more presence, and so much more ease and clarity. So that's just few thoughts that have been going around my mind, few feelings that there is, that I am seeing more and more how I'm creating that sense of busyness. So how are you creating that sense of busyness? Do you feel like you've got so much to do, so many obligations, so many people and things you have to attend to, that you don't have the time for your own practice? And how are you creating it? And could you create something different that would be much more in line with your own values? Just a thing to ponder. And I hope you are having a really wonderful day, and I shall see you tomorrow. Namaste.